Welcome to my channel, your ultimate destination for all things creepy, horror, and suspenseful. If you're a fan of spine-chilling tales and eerie adventures, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. When Emma and John purchased the old farmhouse on the outskirts of town, they thought it was a dream come true. The house, known as Blackwood Farmhouse, had been on the market for years. Its dilapidated exterior deterring any would-be buyers. But Emma saw potential in its weathered walls and overgrown gardens. She envisioned a cozy, renovated home where they could start a family. Their first night in the farmhouse was uneventful, save for the eerie silence that enveloped the property once the sun set. It was a silence so thick and oppressive that it felt like a presence in itself. As they lay in bed, Emma could hear every creak and groan of the old house settling. She brushed it off as the quirks of an aging structure, but unease lingered at the edge of her consciousness. Behind the door was a small, windowless room. The walls were lined with faded, peeling wallpaper, and a single, bare light bulb hung from the ceiling. In the center of the room was an old wooden chair, and on it sat a dusty, leather-bound book. Emma picked up the book, its pages brittle with age, and began to read. The book was a diary written by a woman named Margaret Blackwood, who had lived in the farmhouse over a century ago. Her entries spoke of strange occurrences and a growing sense of dread. Margaret wrote of hearing whispers in the night, seeing shadowy figures moving through the house, and feeling a cold, malevolent presence watching her. That night, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. As she lay in bed, she heard the faint sound of whispering. She sat up, straining to hear, but the whispers stopped abruptly, just as Margaret had described. John was fast asleep, oblivious to the growing terror in his wife's heart. Over the next few days, the hauntings escalated. Doors slammed shut on their own, lights flickered, and objects moved inexplicably. Emma found herself constantly on edge, jumping at every little sound. John tried to reassure her, attributing the strange occurrences to the house's age and their imaginations. But deep down, he felt it too. One night, Emma had a vivid nightmare. She dreamt of Margaret Blackwood, standing at the foot of her bed, her eyes hollow and her mouth twisted in a silent scream. Margaret reached out to Emma, her fingers cold as ice, and whispered, "Leave this place, or you will suffer as I did." Emma woke up drenched in sweat, her heart pounding. She knew they had to leave the farmhouse, but convincing John would be difficult. That morning, she found him in the basement, staring at the iron door. It was now wide open, the chair inside overturned. The diary lay on the floor, its pages scattered. Emma and John packed their belongings hastily, deciding to stay in a hotel until they could find a new place. As they loaded the car, they heard a loud crash from inside the house. John ran back in to investigate, while Emma waited anxiously by the car. Minutes passed, and John didn't return. Emma called out to him, but there was no answer. She hesitated, fear gripping her, but finally mustered the courage to go back inside. The house was eerily silent. Emma called John's name, her voice trembling. She found him in the hidden room, standing in front of the overturned chair. His eyes were vacant, and his face was pale. John blinked, as if waking from a dream, and nodded. He held the diary in his hands, staring at it as if in a trance. They rushed out of the house, not looking back. Emma grabbed his arm, pulling him away. "John, we have to go." Emma and John never returned to Blackwood Farmhouse. They sold it at a loss and moved to a small apartment in the city. The farmhouse remained vacant, its haunting legacy a dark secret that few dared to speak of. Years later, Emma found an old newspaper article about Margaret Blackwood. It detailed her mysterious disappearance and the strange events that plagued the farmhouse. Margaret had never been found, and her fate remained unknown, but Emma knew the truth. The farmhouse was cursed, haunted by the restless spirit of Margaret Blackwood, and whatever malevolent force had driven her to madness. And as the years passed, the farmhouse stood as a grim reminder of the darkness that lurks in forgotten places, waiting for the next unsuspecting souls to venture into its depths.